Everyone, my name is Jake, and today we're going to talk about the shooting that happened in Hamburg, Germany, and what we as former Jehovah's Witnesses can take away from it. It's been something that I haven't talked about on the channel, really because I haven't known what to say or how to cover it, and there's a lot of things that could potentially be said. It's obviously a horrific tragedy. And so I thought that it would probably be most appropriate for me to comment on what exJWs Witnesses can take from it going forward, as opposed to using it as an opportunity to highlight issues with Jehovah's Witness doctrine, whatever. If you're not aware, this happened on March 9th. AP News reports that a 35-year-old German man opened fire during the March 9th service, and he killed himself as police arrived at a Jehovah's Witness hall where the service was taking place. It killed 6 people. This mass shooting wounded 9 people, including a pregnant woman who lost her unborn child. One of the saddest things about this tragedy is how increasingly common it is, but mostly in my home country, the United States, mass shootings happen on statistically a daily basis. At some point in 2023, there have been more mass shootings than days in the year. So what could we take away from this going forward as exJWs Witnesses? Me and some friends were just talking last night about how we rarely go to the movies anymore, because when you go to a movie theater, you're worried. You're worried that something's going to happen. There have been shootings in movie theaters. I worry the same thing when I go to a concert. When I go to any event that's happening, like the Renaissance Fair or any kind of fun communal event, there's always that horrifying thought that enters your mind that something terrible could happen. And anything out of the ordinary that happens when you're at a concert, somebody starts getting loud and rowdy, it's hard for your mind not to go to the worst case scenario. And so what this really emphasizes to me is the need to do away with Kingdom Hall crashing. It's not something I've ever been comfortable with, but I think this really changes that dynamic in a really tangible way going forward. And let's talk about why. Kingdom Hall crashing, like cart crashing, can mean different things to different people. Some people consider themselves cart crashers, but really what they're doing is just going up to a cart where Jehovah's Witnesses, have a literature stand set up, and they'll just engage in a conversation, street epistemology, and it's not really crashing in any meaningful sense. Crashing tends to mean, from what I see when it pops up on my YouTube feed, really confronting Jehovah's Witnesses, and this happens in Kingdom Halls. An apostate, like myself, an ex-member, will attend a meeting and will grab a microphone during a question and answer section of the meeting, or they will even get up on stage and try to expose some facts about CSA within the organization, failed prophecies, all the harm that's being caused. And I think that this event happening in Hamburg emphasizes why that is a deeply inappropriate way to try and reach people. Because now, Jehovah's Witnesses are already, they've been raided and banned in Russia, and the organization has played and replayed that footage to instill fear and to verify, look, we are being targeted, we are being harassed specifically as Jehovah's Witnesses. And now, along with that footage, Jehovah's Witnesses are now going to have in their minds this shooting that happened. Somebody interrupting any kind of religious service, within the service, in my opinion, and I say this as a deeply unreligious and perhaps even anti-religious person, I still think it's deeply inappropriate. And especially as we continue to run out of safe spaces, in a literal sense, safe from violence, I think it is certainly an expectation, at least within Jehovah's Witnesses, that a Kingdom Hall is safe. Now, the organization has stated that that's not necessarily true, that bad things can happen in a Kingdom Hall. They even interviewed a couple on a broadcast where some kind of, I believe it was an earthquake or something terrible happened in a Kingdom Hall, and they almost died, and maybe even some did. So it's not, the organization, likes to say that Jehovah protects his people, but also makes it clear that, but not really though, because terrible things can happen. But I want you to think, if you are a Jehovah's Witness sitting in a Kingdom Hall, you see this disgruntled person grab a microphone and start saying stuff that to you sounds crazy. Not only do you have this terrible panic that everything that they say about apostates is true. Oh my God, look, they're interrupting our meetings and our places of worship. They're going to be so frazzled, they're not going to hear a word anybody's saying anyway. But now, along with that, they're worried that they're going to get shot. They're worried about violence. And Kingdom Hall crashes, of course, don't do anything violent. They don't do anything violent historically, but that is going to be the very tangible fear for Jehovah's Witnesses. I know it would be for me. So, Kingdom Hall crashing is only something that can bring trauma to the people in the room. And it might make the people doing it feel empowered, invalidated, and like they're really doing something. But I got to tell you, I've never heard of a single person say in their waking up story, I've just totally thought it was the truth. And then during the meeting, some guy marched on stage and started shouting a bunch of statistics about child sexual abuse in the organization. And I realized it must be a cult. No, you can't change people's minds for them. People can only change their own minds when they're ready to. And that's the difference between a peaceful protest outside of a Kingdom Hall with signs where people can acknowledge it or not and move on, and some kind of protest happening within a place of worship. I think that we as exJWs need to be aware of that in the future. All that is going to do is elicit a trauma response. It's not going to help anybody. It's just going to remind them of violence. But it's just a thought. Just a short video. I'm trying to, because of my ADHD, just do a bunch of shorter videos because I've been more into that kind of video myself. Just like I enjoy watching that kind of stuff, and it's been hard for me to sit down and force myself to edit. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I guess this one's kind of a bummer, a downer, but thank you for watching and have a nice day.